The tank engine, for its size, is the most versatile thing on the rails. And the tender engines are the power behind the expresses and the goods trains that go all over the island of Sodor. This is NWR Stories. Finale Part 3. Bear Saves the Day. It was a very exciting day on the island of Sodor. This was due to the fact that the rail tours have started, and they were going pretty well for the island. All around the island, the three Grizzly Pacifics were thundering down the line with their heavy trains filled with interesting tourists. It was quite the spectacle, to say the least, seeing some of Grizzly's well-known Pacifics pulling trains down the line. It was the second day of the rail tours. Spencer was getting ready to leave with a train, but he needed to wait till all the tourists were inside. Spencer could not help but feel worried after seeing all the people enter his coaches. I say, I hope I'm able to pull this train. This is a lot of tourists just to see us engines go. All around the island, see all the same sights. Oh, very strange. Well, with all this modern technology that's always being invented by people, we are sort of a relic now, and relics are very cherished, Spencer, said Hero. I agree. It's nice getting publicity from the island. It makes nice when people comes during the summer and it's just amazing, said Emily, excited. If you say so. I just hope I'm able to take this train comfortably. Hopefully my fitter did a good look at me, because lately I haven't really been feeling like I've been going at my top speed. Some days I feel like I can beat a cheetah in a race, and the next day I feel no slower than Toby. Well, no offense to Toby, of course. Well, maybe you should let your fitter come check you over again, because you never know what might happen. If you get him to check again, he might find something new or something he overlooked. That is why every time you do a check, you must look over twice, said Hero to Spencer. Spencer was about to speak again when he heard a horn and a growling noise. I say, what is that? Said Spencer. This could be no one but Bear, the island of Sodor's resident Class 35 diesel engine. Oh, it's Bear, of course, laughed Hero. And with that, Bear pulled into the platform right next to Spencer. Hello, gang. How's it going? Said Bear. Isn't it a great day to be working on the island of Sodor amongst all this tourism? How exciting, said Bear. My, you're a chipper fellow, said Spencer. Yes. How can you not be happy when working on the island of Sodor? And a loud one at that, laughed Spencer. Yes, that is me. I am Bear. Nice to meet you. Bert Spencer? I think that's what your nameplate says. Oh, for once, he actually calls me by the proper... Someone called me by the proper name, said Spencer out loud. Well, let me tell you something. Something about a name makes you feel special, like you feel belong. Can't say the same for one of my, former acquaintances. They were just known by a number. So, what are you doing here, Bear? I didn't think you were supposed to be here for an hour, said Emily. Well, you know how the limit goes, fast as here, fast as there. I'm always trying to get here early, because the earlier I get here, the earlier I can leave, and the later I can just chill and talk with my fellow engines, you know what I'm saying? Said Bear. All the engines laughed because they loved Bear's optimistic personality about everything. It really made them feel like they could be better. Well, I would love to stay and chit-chat, but I have to go. This rail tour is not going to pull itself. And with a toot of his whistle, Spencer raced out the station with the rail tour. Huh, he seems nice, said Bear. Meanwhile, Spencer was racing down the line with his rail tour train, feeling very pleased with himself. His run was going well until he felt very short of steam and he started to slow down a bit. By the time he reached the tunnel, he started to go very slow. His driver noticed this. "Spencer, are you alright?" said its driver. Yes, sir. I am alright. I just need to catch my breath, that's all," said Spencer. But Spencer's drivers knew that something was up with Spencer, but they wouldn't figure that out so soon. When Spencer arrived back into the sheds, he was feeling out of breath. His heavy puffing can be heard all the way over in Thomas's branch line. "My goodness, Spencer, are you alright? I heard you all the way back here when you came into the station," said Gordon. "Yes, indeed. You sound out of breath." "I assure you, dear cousins, I am fine. I just need to catch my breath, that's all. I run rail tours all the time over on the other railway. I just need to... I just need to just rest. I still have a rail tour to run tomorrow," said Spencer. "Spencer, you might need to get checked out before you do a rail tour. Because if you don't, it can cause disaster. And I'm not talking about the publicity. I'm just looking out for your health, that's all," said Flying Scotsman. I truly appreciate it, Scotsman, but I am fine." Not long after Spencer spoke, a certain light blue diesel had rolled into the yard and shunted himself back into one of the berths of Tidman's sheds. "Oh, how's it going, Bear? I didn't really get to see you much today. How's it going?" "Oh, Gordon, top of the world as always, great day to live on Sodor, you know what I'm saying? The passengers just make me just want to if I had hands, I would give them all high fives, you know what I'm saying?" said Bear, excited. "I like this one. He's a very funny engine, and very optimistic." "Well, thanks a lot. This means a lot coming from the great Bert Spencer, after all. Say, you ran by me so fast today you almost knocked me off the tracks," said Bear. "Well, I had to give the passengers a ride they'll remember, after all. But, I wish you weren't here for the latter part. I lost a lot of steam and almost had to cool down," said Spencer. "We're trying to get him to get some help, but he won't listen. And I thought Mallard was the stubborn one. Or let's be honest, all you A4s were pretty stubborn. Dominion of Canada, Union of South Africa, Mallard, Sir Nigel Gresley. The only one that really had sense out of you guys is Beaterin," said Flying Scotsman. "Oh, please, none of them was as stubborn as Sir Ralph Wedgwood," The later one, of course. Rest in peace, dear brother. He was the most stubborn. I remember one time he refused to get a wash down because he said his train was more important. But then he ended up getting sent back to the yard. It was very funny. But Spencer, you do need to go get checked out, because if you break down, what would the railtour think? Said Bear. I assure you, my dear engines, it's fine. I just need to have a good rest, and I will be all right. And with that, Spencer rolled to the back of the shed to get some rest. The next day, Derek and James were talking in the station when Maverick passed by with a goods train. Now hear me out, Derek. Yes, Superman may have more powers, but if you think about it, Omni-Man could probably beat Superman if he really tried. Because think about it, he has more fighting skills than Superman. He may have less powers, but he has experience and battle IQ, said James. I'm not too sure. Because if you think about it, Superman has a moral compass. And he's not to mention he's more stronger than more stronger than Omni-Man. Because Omni-Man, he's only concerned about the bloodlust. Well, in the beginning. And he's going to be too focused on trying to kill Superman, but not actually fighting. You definitely might have a point there, said James. While the two engines were talking, Spencer backed into the station and coupled up to his coaches, ready to start the next rail tour. Oh, good morning, Spencer. How are you doing today? I'm doing fine. Just getting ready to take this train around Sodor, show these people the lovely sights of this island. You know how it is. Yes, we do. Showing passengers my lovely red paint. Ah, what a sight. I don't think he was talking about your paint. I think he was just talking about the sights of Sodor in general, James, said Derek. Oh well, totally the same thing. Derek didn't even give this a response. He just rolled his eyes. But yes, I'm going to give them a ride they shall remember. Anyway, it's coming from an A4 after all, said Spencer, boasting. And with a toot of his whistle, Spencer left off with his train, speeding out of the station. You know, if I didn't know any better, I would think that Spencer is hiding something. Now, can't you see how out of breath he sounds? Said James. Yes, quite indeed. He sounds like me when I was struggling with my engine many years ago, replied Derek. Spencer rocketed down the line at a very high speed, determined to give the passengers a ride they'll remember. He felt like nothing in the world could stop him from accomplishing a good run. But then there was trouble. As soon as he reached outside the tunnel, he halted to a stop. The train started to get slower and slower until Spencer couldn't move at all. Ugh, I feel so weak. I was going strong too. I knew I should have got looked over before I started this run, said Spencer angrily. Well, Spencer, looks like you need your tubes cleaned. That is why you've been feeling out of breath. Of course. What am I gonna do now? Said Spencer, feeling sad. I've let the whole railway down. But suddenly they heard a horn in the distance, followed by another growling noise. It's Bear. Maybe he can help us. And he was right. Bear was running down the line with the Limited when he stopped on the track right next to Spencer. What's up? What's going on? Spencer, are you alright? Said Bear. Sadly, no. My tubes need to be cleaned, and it granted me to a halt. I should have got them checked over before I left the station. I'm a foolish engine indeed. A failed engine at that. Oh, don't think of it like that, Spencer. Speaking of failed engines, you know, there was once an engine who moved 2 dead diesels with a failed ejector. So if he can make it, then so can you, said Bear encouragingly. What do you mean by that? What do you mean I can still make it? I can't even move. Well, how about I just run in front of your train, and we just continue down the line, said Bear. That sounds like a great idea. Thank you, Bear, said Spencer. Hey, no problem. Always happy to help. Now, let's get started, shall we? And Bear soon moved to get in front of Spencer's train. It was hard work for the 2 engines to start pulling a long, heavy train, but Bear was determined to help out a friend. They started off slowly, but started to begin picking up speed. Soon they made it over the bridge with ease, and the 2 engines started to work together. The rail tour was saved, thanks to Bear. I guess you can say that in a way, Bear had saved the day. The rail tour was saved, and the passengers enjoyed it. Later, when all the engines were gathered at the sheds, Spencer was getting looked over by the inspector. Yep. His tubes need to be cleaned out, and a lot of other work needs to be done before he's able to run a rail tour again. I see. Well, we're gonna need someone to take over for him for the rail tours, said the Fat Controller. Sir, I hope you don't mind if I choose my replacement, said Spencer to the Fat Controller. Not at all. Who would you like to replace you? We got Hero, we got Rebecca. How about Bear, sir? If it wasn't for him, the rail tour would have been late arriving to the station, and we wouldn't have got here to see the gathering that you've put together, said Spencer. You know what? You're right. Bear will take over your rail tours until you are repaired. Thank you, sir. But in the meantime, I need to prepare for my announcement, said the Fat Controller. All the engines were gathered at the sheds because the Fat Controller was about to make his important announcement. All the engines were anxious to hear what he had to say. Can I please have everyone's attention, please? Said the Fat Controller. There we go. Now, as you all know, I've had some recent medical news that hasn't been greatly recipient over the railway. I do have heart disease, and it's an advanced state, but I will live. But with that being said, I won't be able to manage the railway anymore. So, effective immediately, I will be stepping down as the Fat Controller. All the engines were shocked to hear this news. Even though they've had previous Fat Controllers in the past, it was still surprising nonetheless to hear that one was stepping down. But do not worry, my engines. I've already chosen a replacement, and it is someone you know very well, said the Fat Controller, continuing. Well, who is it, sir? Said Maverick. Yes, I'm also dying to know, sir, said Roderick, agreeing. The new controller of the Northwestern Railway is no one other than my son, Sir Richard Hatt. The yard erupted in cheers from all the engines. Richard Hatt was a very good friend to all the engines, And now that he was coming as the new Fat Controller, it was a huge excitement. "Dad, are you serious? Me?" said Richard, looking up to his father. "Indeed, my son. You are indeed ready to become the new Fat Controller." I don't know what to say, sir. How about you just take the top hat and run this railway like your father, like my father and his father before him? For you are the new Fat Controller. "I will, sir," said Richard. Richard soon got on top of on Duck's roof and decided to have a speech of his own. "You all know me as Richard Hat, the son of the Fat Controller, the grandson of Sir Charles Topham Hatt, and the great-great-grandson of the first Fat Controller. But I just want to say that as the new Fat Controller, the controller of the railway, I intend to follow in my father's footsteps in providing a safe haven for all engines of any kind. Whether you are steam or diesel, experimental or thoroughbred, you are all welcome on this island, and I will lead this railway into the 2020s and the many years to come. Just thank you for accepting me as the Fat Controller, and I will do everything in my power to make sure this railway stays the same." Once again, the island broke out in cheers, as all the engines were excited to have a new controller. It was a new era for the Northwestern Railway, and the engines were ready to start living in the new era. And so ends our stories for today. The engines have once again proven how useful they can be. Sometimes, all it takes are the stories of talking trains and the child within us to find the true happiness that lies inside and strive to be the best that we can in life. Just like Thomas does. The end.